Ahoy hoy, friends and enemies! Welcome back to this show. Production was slightly delayed due to trying to organize things with the celebrity guest in the previous video. Assuming that video even has a special guest, because from my point of view he might pull out. Oh well, let's do issues 84 to 86. For the A stories, the 3-part heroes and villains. For the B stories, the 3-part Knuckles Echidna in Village of the Damned. For the C stories, 1 part Tails Sneaker Seeker and 2 part Tails Trooper Trouble. And for the D stories, 3 different Sonic's worlds. We got New Image, we got Scream Theme Park, and part 1 of Future Shock. In the weird alternate dimension known as the Special Zone floats the headquarters of the Chaotix crew. Today they have an unexpected visitor. It's Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic is using his long-time off-screen friendship with the Omniviewer in order to get into the Special Zone, to warn the Chaotix, because they are in deadly danger. And he then quickly gives a recap of the previous issue, and apparently the fact that Super Sonic is seemingly still alive inside the Special Zone. However, SBO dismisses Sonic's claims, stating that if he hears something, he'll let him know and just wanders off. The Chaotix crew seems to be a little bit full of themselves. They're also a little bit busy. Vector asks the Omniviewer to take them to New Tech City on the planet Meridian. Sonic didn't even know there were other planets in the Special Zone. Guess he's only seen all the weird bits. Meanwhile, some guy in a mask gets punched in the face. "You're going soft, Baron X. That punch hardly hurt me at all." "Ha! That's the best you can do, Captain Tornado." What the hell is this? It's like a bad Marvel comic. And the Justice Brigade and the Discriminators are lining up for a final showdown in the... Yeah, this really is just a really bad superhero comic. They arrive, and the Chaotix immediately get into the fight. And Sonic has literally no idea who he's meant to be punching at. Some sort of werewolf pops up and he goes, "Hey, hold it on, I'm one of the good guys." "Just kidding, I'm actually one of the Discriminators." As the fighting goes on, the cops show up, and then the Chaotix are joining the villains and running away from the cops because apparently they have a bit of a snag with the law. Unfortunately, the pig, that's a bit on the nose, captures Sonic, and he's under arrest. Back at the police station, he's being held in a private cell. "Forget it, Pally, that cell has imprisoned characters tougher than you." He gets interrogated over his involvement with the Chaotix crew. Sonic protests that he knew nothing of their apparent wantedness by the police. However, apparently someone paid for Sonic's bail. It's one Lord Sidewinder. Apparently some sort of crooked individual. "Hey, you got a lot of nerve coming here, Sidewinder. I ought to arrest you." "There was no evidence to link me to that nuclear bomb, Lieutenant, as you well know." Jesus Christ, a nuclear bomb attack? Back at the satellite headquarters of the Chaotix, they ponder over the fact that they forgot to tell Sonic about the fact that they were wanted by the police for something they didn't do, apparently. Well, actually, something they did do. They were guilty of a robbery, kinda. They ask the Omniviewer if they can just teleport him out of the cell, but no, it has an energy barrier. Goddamn plot contrivances. However, Sonic isn't in the cell anymore. He's now at the family residence of one Lord Sidewinder. "I still don't understand why you bailed me out. What do you want?" "I'll explain everything to you shortly, Sonic, but first I'd like you to meet my associates. Let me introduce Lightmare, Mr. Fry, and Biohazard." But there's one more guest, shining light through the door. It's Super Sonic. Apparently Lord Sidewinder has come to an arrangement with Super Sonic. A foolish plan, because all Super Sonic knows how to do is destroy. And then blows up Sidewinder's house. One Mr. Fry turns into a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation. But Mr. Hyde is no match for some goddamn laser beams. There's a small scrap, but Super Sonic is still invincible. "Who do you think you are? You don't scare us none, you frink." Language! Why would an evil demon bother about, someone's language? He disposes Mr. Biohazard guy without second thought. "I was part of you for years, Sonic. You turned into me in your worst moments. But now I exist as a separate entity, and now I aim to destroy, starting with you." Fortunately, because of the fact that Sonic is no longer within the energy field thing from the prison, the Chaotix find him, and with Lord Sidewinder no less. He uses this opportunity to try and destroy the Chaotix, but Sonic's got an idea, and he gives it to the Omniviewer. Meanwhile, this Lightmare person uses some sort of box of nightmares to dispose of everyone. Chummy B gets some bug spray. Biohazard splashes goo all over Espio. Mr. Fry punches Mighty in. And an amazing 2-page spread. Just look at this thing. Wow. The Omniviewer was positioned behind Supersonic and gets pushed inside. Sonic emerges from the Omniviewer, but Supersonic remains frozen. Because the Omniviewer can control time and space within his own relative dimensions. And with Supersonic frozen, he cannot escape. The Omniviewer turned into the perfect prison. However, about a week later, Supersonic seems to be a little bit closer to the wall. Chummy thinks that he may have to tell Vector. Nah, he'll only shout at me and probably doesn't matter. Oh well. Knuckles in Village of the Damned. Knuckles is still dragging his chest full of the floating islands, blueprints and schematics and stuff. And he has to do it himself, because he let Captain Claw go free. With Robotnik being in charge, there's no one he can trust to lock him up. Fortunately, he doesn't have to sleep in the woods tonight because he stumbled across a village. He heads into the pub and asks if he can find a room for the night. A room? Of course, I say, of course. We have a room for you here, my lad. Great, I haven't had a decent night's sleep in days. The rooster offers Knuckles a pint, but he says that he should get some shut-eye instead. The townspeople are incredibly suspicious about Knuckles, though. He wakes up in the middle of the night, thinking he hears a scream. It's probably just the wind. But wind doesn't scream twice. It's coming from the street. Somebody's about to get witch-burned. Oh, look, an advertisement for SEGA Channel. Knuckles is still utterly shattered, but he bursts out the window because obviously he has to help this sheep person. The red creature! He must not rescue the sacrifice! Must not rescue the sacrifice. An earth-shattering smash to the ground knocks the weird cult people on their feet, and the sheep lures Knuckles into a shed. Apparently a few months ago, the townspeople joined a weird cult, and they needed to make a sacrifice to the moon goddess to guarantee a good harvest for the year. The lamb offers to take the first watch so Knuckles can get a night's sleep finally on the hay, before the cult finally catches up to them. Apparently it was a deception. The red one. The legends are true. For now Knuckles shall take the place of the sacrifice. He's put into a giant wicker-shaped egg. There's still laws on this planet, but fortunately for the cultists, Robotnik really doesn't care if they kill themselves, just as long as they don't bother him. And so the cultists get to continue with their mad sacrifice. He pleads to the lamb. Why did he betray them? Well, you know, self-preservation and all that. Sacrifice someone else, don't sacrifice me. Fortunately, the cage is still quite round, and that means it can roll into the river, putting out the fire. Knuckles grabs the staff that clearly puts everyone into a hypnotic trance, and he uses the power to wake up everyone. He asks why the goat was doing this whole moon goddess business. Turns out it wasn't him, it was the rooster from the pub. The landlord, or rather, land ruler. It's Robotnik. This is all just a test for mind control. And Knuckles can't exactly stop Robotnik from what he was doing here. He's the ruler. What's he gonna do? Go to jail? So Knuckles just up and leaves. What else can he do? Tails in Sneaker Seeker. The day was quite peaceful for Tails, but that was about to change. He finds a strange scientist with green hands in the middle of the road. Apparently he made some cool new sneakers, given as a reward for all the times he's been Dr. Robotnik. But it was actually a mask. With Tails out of sight, the true identity of the sneaker designer is revealed. Robotnik's top scientist, Grimer. He struts his stuff in the middle of the town with his cool new sneakers. He'll certainly show up Sonic for sure. But then a heat-seeking missile is targeted right at Tails. He flies away to put the trajectory outside of town, but he's immediately chased by it. Must be homing in on something. It must be the sneakers. Tails removes the sneakers. He goes to dump it in the water, but Echo the Dolphin lives there. That means he can't dump it in the water at all. Gotta protect the wildlife. Grimer notices that the missile is heading back towards him, because Tails dumps the sneakers on him. In order to save his ass, Grimer activates the self-destruct. His plan was foiled. Don't accept gifts from strangers. The people calling Tails cool earlier have gone back to mocking his kicks. But hey, there are some things you shouldn't sacrifice for fashion. And for the next story, in the middle of the Wood Village zone, people are running inside to their house. Open up, citizen, that is an order. Pay your tax for Dr. Robotnik or else. It appears that a trooper has been taking extra tax from all the people. Why don't you stand up to him, George? You're becoming a useless as Clive, the village whip. Don't worry, Mildred, I have the situation in hand. I've got my contacts, you know. I've put the word out on the street about that trooper bothering our village. No doubt Sonic or Shortfuse the Cybernetic will be arriving to help us any moment now. Oh, George, you're so clever. Well, tough. You don't get Sonic, you get Tails. He'll do. As he confronts the trooper runs away, which is very untrooper-like. You're not one of my troop. Which platoon are you with, soldier? I can't quite remember. Sorry, bye. But the trooper runs back into Tails. This is not an average trooper. One punch is all that needs for it to fall to pieces. And it's not a trooper at all. 'Tis a donkey. Clive, the aforementioned wimp. He built this suit out of old destroyed trooper bots, and he wore it just to teach the people a lesson about bullying Clive. He could have gone into big trouble, but he's already in trouble as the troopers from earlier capture Clive and Tails. Man, that is one fat-looking robot trooper with a monocle. Tails and the donkey are taken to the prison ship and are shackled to the wall. They can't remove them by force because that will electrocute their hand. Fortunately, Clive keeps a screwdriver in the old prison wallet. That's not a thing I expected to say in a children's comic book. Clive removes the panel and breaks them free from the shackles. However, as you can tell by the panel falling over, cut the power to the entire shuttlecraft, and they crash into the mountains. Tails and Clive fly away, but the troopers have parachutes. Fortunately, they're quite dim-witted and wind up shooting their own parachutes as Tails flies over them, and they crash to their demise. Clive pays back the villagers, and Tails gives a tall tale of how Clive managed to save them from Dr. Robotnik. He's no wimp at all, he's a hero. Oh well, hopefully Clive's cured from making an ass of himself in the future. I can't believe they got away with that. And lastly tonight, the D stories. First up, new image. It looks like Sonic is running through Wall Street as we have all the meerkats and animals wearing nice suits when Sonic is stopped by a flamingo and some sort of boar. What do they want? Their business cards. Snooty and sneaky. Judging by their outfits and attire, I can assume that they are some sort of advertisement agency. They say that they want to give Sonic a new look. Sonic laughs them off. But it appears that Snooty and Sneaky are sneakier than they look because they have Amy Rose tied up. Sonic almost makes Sneaky barf up his lunch. A lot burger, apparently. But he's gonna have to play ball if he wants Amy back. And look at him, he's wearing a crappy-ass sponsorship deal. He looks like a sellout. But before he can get to advertisement, he sees Buzz Bombers. The Anorak is very much slowing him down. But fortunately, the Buzz Bombers are destroyed by Amy. Turns out that Snooty and Sneaky suck at tying knots. Sonic rips up the coat and destroys the Buzz Bombers. Turns out that the advertisement agency was working for Robotnik, either to make him look foolish or slow him down to make him weak. Too late to hide their intentions as they get tied up in their own shredded up anorak. Robotnik is given a handy mail delivery of some new potential badniks. Just proving that I don't need a new image. After all, you can't improve perfection. Ego. Next up, Scream Theme Park. Roll up, prepare for the ride of your lives on this pit plunge roller coaster. Max Gamble is back. He doesn't seem to be doing casinos this time, and he looks very different from last time, but now he's up to roller coaster. He's a carny. The pit plunge roller coaster dips into a cave, and it's revealed that everyone is actually getting captured to be turned into badniks. The park goer in the green coat is looking for trouble, because it's actually Shortfuse the Cybernetic. The indestructible cyborg smashes up a few troopers, but the people are about to be turned into badniks. He tears the power cable apart, but it electrocutes him. But it doesn't mean for a second that he's out of the fight. Shortfuse brings the park goers back to the surface, and it seems that Max Gamble has to give everyone a refund. He's claiming innocence. He didn't know Robotnik was using his ride, but it seems that for now, the ride's closed. Next time, Max Gamble. Next time. Lastly, Future Shock, a typical day on the planet Mobius. Just some ordinary badnik smashing, nothing interesting to talk about that. After destroying the last one, Sonic does land into a swamp. Fortunately, sinking is no issue when you get up to speed again, but he gets interrupted by another blue blur. Two of them? Who's the old geezer?
Let me get my breath back, and I'll tell you who I am.
Apparently, this guy claims to be Sonic from 50 years into the future. How far did Archie go? 10? 25? The geezer and the whippersnapper are arguing. He can't be me, he's waiting for Robotnik.
Wise up, youngster. Would I have rescued you if I was? Listen, I've travelled back in time to help you, more importantly, to warn you.
Let me guess, don't trust strangers, right?
Can the sarcasm and listen. Unless you guys change your methods, the citizens of this planet are doomed. Something you do in the future will see to that.
Sonic doesn't really buy it, but he has time traveled before. Remember, with the Time Stone. And Tails recently had an issue with time travel, but that's not something worth bringing up right now. They take the geezer to a hidden laboratory in the chemical plant with one trusty doctor. He's taken cell samples, and it confirms the old man was telling the truth. He is in fact Sonic from the future. To be continued. See ya next time, boomers. For clarification, boomer is just what the comic would call the readers. I'm not calling you a conservative old man.